Hey there. Well, today what I wanted to do is to attempt a graft that I've been seeing online and called a veneer graft. It intrigued me when I watched it. I found it to look sort of interesting and brought my grafting stuff out here. A knife. Razor blade. Okay. Now this is a pawpaw that I started from seed, and I stuck it in a 3-gallon pot because I wanted to leave it in there for a while. And the scion that I'm going to work with is a overlease. I'm only going to go with 2 buds, and the reason why I'm only going to go with 2 buds is because I've never attempted this before. Hopefully it works, but we'll find out. Normally, from what I've been seeing, they're already wrapped up in parafilm. I'm going to do this a little bit differently, and here's what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm going to make my cuts first, and then I'm going to wrap this up with parafilm and then wrap it to the rootstock itself and make sure that I'm roughly around the right size. And here we go, something new. Figure out where I want to put this. And I want to stick this to where the bud is facing outward. This first bud, I want it to face outward. And we'll see what happens. Now, from my understanding, all we have to do is cut into the bark a little bit. And slide down. There, a little bit of a lip there. Now to try to get this to match up. I'm going to try and make it a nice straight cut. Make sure they're about the same length. Need to be a little longer. Mind you, I've never attempted this. This is the first time I've ever tried to do this. And if it's successful, I have one that's planted out back that I thought a veneer graft to convert that tree into something that I knew what it was. Needs to be just a little bit longer. Just want to keep whittling down until I match. Okay, looks like I got a match. Let's do a shim back here. Now you see how I got that cut, a little shim in the back end of it, be able to stick it down in there. Make sure they're touching. And they say this little flap you can trim off, which that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim that off, and I'll use a razor blade to do that, just to make it nice and straight cut. There we go. Now let's go ahead and get this scion wrapped up. A little bit cool out here. I like to use my breath to put a little bit of warmth on it. Okay. And just like all my other grafts, just one layer across that bud. All right, here we go. Got her on there good and straight. Now we're going to take some more of the grafting tape. And I'm going to work from the bottom up because I still got a little gap there. I want to cover up as much as I can. I'm not going to stretch it out as much because I want it to be a little bit stiffer. Oop, oop, oop. I still have one layer on that bottom bud, and I still want to keep that one layer on that bottom bud. So, break that off right there. And now, I'm going to come across up here. Try to keep as much moisture out of that fitting as possible. Bring the tape down underneath that bud. Parafilm is really good to work with. It's okay. Looking like a good fit. Looking like it might work. We can only cross our fingers and see if it will work. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to take a rubber band and wrap around here from just below that bud to squeeze those two together, just to keep them squeezed together to see if I can get them to take. If it don't take, I still have the rootstock. All I have to do is just come down here, snip, and just go ahead and graft into it. Another way of grafting. I had contacted Kentucky State, and they said they've never done this, and they didn't know of anybody that had done this. So, and I'll keep them informed as to how it went. Let me get a piece of rubber band here. I'm hoping it'll work because I want to top work this one out back and try to convert it to another variety. And by the way, just in case I didn't mention it, this is a overlease. So just below that bottom bud, I'm going to start my wrap. Take it around this way. Missing the rubber band. Mind you, I'm stretching that rubber band because I want to squeeze the two together. I want to get that contact between the cambiums. Take it all the way down to where the cut is. So I want it all squeezed together. Now the illustrations that I've been watching, they're using a grafting tape to do this, and which is a stiff grafting tape. It don't have a lot of stretch to it, but I think they're wrapping it tight to get that good union. Well, I think this right here with the rubber band, it should work as far as creating that union. I can't help but think there's going to be a big callus with that though when that comes out. So we'll find out. That's a lot of rubber band. I'm about ready to tie it off. I got them tightened up pretty good together there. There. Well, I hope it works. It's something different. What should happen is these buds should crack, start to grow. And once they've taken and they're growing, I'll come down here and I'll cut this off and it'll be a different tree. Something different to share with you. And if you bear with me a minute, something else that I did want to show you while I'm here that I did do. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this because a lot of people do it differently. Let me see here. I wanted to show you this graft that I did. This in here is an overlease also. They're sitting outside and trying to get them to harden off a little bit. If you take a close look right here, you'll see that there's no parafilm up here. This was the very end of the stem of the uh, scion wood, and it was extremely small, and I had an extremely small rootstock here to work with. And I did the parafilm on the bud just below that outer stem and started wrapping. And I didn't wrap this up here. I thought, you know what, normally I'd clip that off and I'd start my graft from there, and the end of the stem I wouldn't use. I've done this with 3 of them. And right now I have 2 of them, this one and another one. I'm getting growth out the tip of that stem, and it worked out. And I'm hoping, I wouldn't think that that's just the energy of the scion wood, because it's still growing. It's still got more growth wanting to come out. Anyways, that was just something I wanted to share with you, a brief moment while we did this right here. This will be in the house to monitor. Anyways, my name's Jim. If you like what you see, subscribe. Any comments or questions that you have, I welcome. You all have a God blessed day.